Welcome back to the channel to a new video. Today I am doing a reaction video on the one and only Alex Hormozi. I haven't done a reaction video in years actually, but I came across this video and I just couldn't help myself. I noticed some things that I wanted to talk about, so let's get straight into it and let's go over it together, see what he has to say and how I feel about it. So the video is called Why Old Friends Keep You Poor. All right, let's hit it.
I have shed friends every season of my life. My close circle has always been very, very small. Very, very small. Very, very small. Very small. Non-existent.
There you have it, non-existent. I can't help but notice the absolute sentiment of pride as it pertains to him having a small circle. That's something, I feel like that's a trend that has really taken off in the last, I would say, 5-6 years. The whole, obviously, the peak of the social media, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram era, where young people in general love to be passive aggressive and love to basically carry themselves as self-proclaimed anti-social people. Like, I don't think being antisocial has ever been more hip than today. Like, you know, not to go off of a tangent here, but just look at Drake. Half of his music is talking about how he loves to be antisocial and how he's sending subliminals and how he likes to go around people's back to get what he wants and how he likes to creep. And I feel like obviously Drake is just a reflection of current modern day pop culture. So let's just say I'm not surprised at Alex feeling the same way, but let's go.
I also feel like I grow really quickly because I don't hold on to things long. The moment something doesn't provide me value, I shed it. I think about
the moment something doesn't provide you value, I shed it. I mean, really? That's going to be your mantra? That's going to be your philosophy to live a happy life? Are you providing value? No, then you got to go. It's like, am I the only person who sees how backwards this is and how terrible of a perspective it is to look at life, to look at other people? I just feel like capitalism and making money has taken over so many people's idea of what it entails to be a decent human being, to have a fulfilled life. And like this guy, he's gone full on, you know, like it's only about the money, it's only about the number, like that's it. Like dude is living in the Matrix.
my life in 3 to 5 year seasons. First, I was a high school womanizer for the most part, and then I was also like really deeply angry. I had high school friends that when I left high school, I basically stopped being in contact with them. And then I had my come to Jesus where my dad was like, you suck as a human, you have a terrible reputation, maybe you should stop being who you are. Cleaned up my act, I stopped drinking nearly as much as I was. I started going to school and studying 12 hours a day, president of the fraternity, and that was my college season. And I had
I feel like he cannot go 1 minute without bragging, even when he's trying to basically be real and talk about, you know, like I was a bad person, I was a womanizer. There's still a bragging there, like he's still telling his predominantly, undoubtedly male audience that, you know, like, yo, I was getting pussy, dog. I was getting it. Like it's so obvious to me how he's wired. I feel like I've met this guy many times before, even when they're smart enough to have figured out that if they are able to put themselves out there and make themselves feel weak, that people are going to be drawn to that and they're going to see it as a sign of self-confidence. You know, they're like, you know, I don't mind talking about my flaws. I don't mind exposing my weaknesses. Yes, it is true. I was a womanizer and I used to get laid. all the time. And I'm not proud of it. But I just want you to know that it was a lot of women. Like that's just the energy that he exudes all the time. And as I'm saying this, I'm probably noticing that this sunlight is messing up my lighting. Let me just make some quick changes here so I don't end up ruining this entire video. And we're not going to edit this out because we are keeping it real. Unlike your boy over here. And then he had to slip in there that he was also the president or whatever he said, like it's just, he couldn't help himself. It's like, he was still the alpha. He was still number one. Never get it confused. Never ever dare you think that he was once not a absolute alpha leader, top dog.
College friends. And then when I left college, I pretty much stopped being in contact with anyone that I went to college with. Most people suck at most things and aren't bound for greatness because of who they are and the choices that they're willing to make. The stories about friends leaving the hometown and no longer remembering where they're...
Again, what is your definition of being bound for great things? For this guy, obviously, it's money. He's going to tell you that it's not about the money. It's about building businesses, providing value. But it's very clear, like, that's what he's geared towards. Like, literally, the title of the video is Why Old Trends Keep You Poor. So, obviously, like, that tells you his mindset in terms of the framework of what is good and what is bad. And for him, hell is just being poor. Like, he can't think of anything else worse than to be poor.
From is one that is told by society because society is the majority. The majority of people get left behind. If you look at the things that you want to get in life, I
agree on that one. Like, he's actually, what he just said about society being the majority, and then the conclusion he made, that I actually fully agree.
Price for them. You don't buy everything you see in the mall. Why not? Because you don't want to pay the price. Just because you might think that a shirt or jacket is cool, just because you think an outcome is awesome, you might not be willing to make the trade. Winners and losers have the same goals. The goal doesn't make you unique, it's the willingness to pay the price that makes you unique.
Winners and losers have the same goals. But again, like, you cannot, it's such a dumbed down way of thinking about people and about life. It's like you're taking the most complex thing, which is society, which is life, and you're just like, winners, losers. So if you're not building businesses, if you're not making a lot of money, you're a loser, regardless of the circumstances, right? So people that get sick, people that get hit by a truck, people that, like, whatever the case may be, it's like, nah, that's on you. Like, dude, context, nuance. And for all the things he's accomplished in business, I just can't help but feel like I'm listening to a child. It's like, that was me at 18. When I was 18, I was talking about winners and losers, alphas and betas. And then you're supposed to grow up a little bit and get a little bit more intelligent and a little bit more understanding of the complexity of life. And you understand that, or at least you're supposed to learn, that every single individual has their own story. It doesn't make any sense to try and apply this generality and, to individuals. It's just, So yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
Like, everyone wants to be rich. One of the reasons that
Everybody wants to be rich. Dude! Why? What is up with people just, like, projecting their idea of happiness onto the world? That's like me saying, like, everybody wants to have big biceps. Everybody wants to be jacked. Like, how could you not? How could you not want to be jacked, dog? Like, really? And again, that was also me like, I just feel like I'm listening to a lot of old me right now. Like, that was me at 22. If you would have asked me 22, like, what I thought about people not hitting in the gym, I would have been like, they're suckers. Like, how can you not do that? And then, again, you grow and you understand, like, there's many different ways to broaden your horizon, to get better at something and to find value. And for some, that's lifting weights and building a strong body like me. And for some, they do that through art. They do that through music. They do that through raising their children. They do that through their daily interactions with people around them. Like, anyone that tells me that everybody wants to be rich, I'm just looking at them like, you have no idea. Like, you're literally, I don't think you ever took the time to actually sit down with someone like that had a completely different state of mind and actually listen to them and actually exercise empathy to try and understand how that other person sees the world. Because I can guarantee you, not everybody dreams all day about being rich.
Cut people out sooner than most is because I do not like the labels that they speak over me. One of the big things with identity is the labels that we say about ourselves. I am X, I am impatient, I am angry, I am whatever, right? I am poor, I don't like saying it. People in your past.
You see that? I caught that one. Like, for him, being poor is like, it's worse than anything. You can tell, like, this guy, his personal hell would be to be labeled as poor. If you're poor, you're just a scum of the earth. You're subhuman. You don't deserve to live. You're just an absolute failure and a disgrace to your bloodline. That's clearly the way he thinks. Like, I caught it early, and I was just making it obvious at this point.
Have the identity that they know you as, and then they will speak and they will beat that label into you because you're not matching their pattern. Why have you changed? You are X, you are Y, and you're trying to not be that because you're doing something different than changing, you're growing. But they see it as change. And that's why the best response in the world to someone who says, hey, you've changed, is to say, yeah, you haven't. The amount you like or love someone.
Boom, drop the mic. Totally agree. He's actually spot on with everything he just said about that.
Is directly proportional to what you are willing to give up to maintain the relationship. For example, if there's a piece of shit car, right, and you work on it all the time, you might say, that guy must really love it because of how much time he puts into that thing. This guy must really love his country because he's willing to give his life for it. What are you willing to give in exchange to maintain the relationship? If you're not willing to give up basically anything to maintain the relationship, then how much do you love them? I think it's been a very helpful filter for me.
Very true. I actually agree. Yeah, nothing to add to that.
Me to say, not do I love my friends, but which friends do I love the most? Which friends am I willing to sacrifice the most to keep the relationship? And I am a big believer in utility. There is an exchange in every relationship. You get something and they get something back. People don't like the idea that relationships are transactional, but they are. Transactional just has a commercial.
Again, presenting a very one-dimensional personal opinion as fact. And I don't care, how much you slow it down and the camera zooms in on you. Dude, just because you say it with confidence does not make it a fact. Like, we have to stop doing this. I know we're living in the hot take era where, you're no longer allowed to express any type of doubt in any type of statement. You're just supposed to be strong and convinced all the time when saying things, but this is just silly. Like, no, dude, not all relationships are transactional. Transactional. It's just not the case. I know you can break it down. Like, I can already hear people saying, well, they kind of already break it down. Like, even, if you say somebody makes you feel good, like, that's a transaction. Like, they provide you a positive sentiment. They make you feel good, so that's why you keep them around. But I feel like it's more so about, like, I feel some of my best relationships are simply because you just value the people. You want them to be happy and they want you to be happy. Is that a transaction? Me wanting somebody to be happy? And then just because they also want me to be happy, that does not prove the evidence that our entire relationship is based on a transaction. Just because just because a transaction takes place, like our relationship, let's say, is based on loyalty, on trust and on the fact that I know like that person has been there from the beginning and will always hold me accountable, is somebody that I can trust and that I can be myself with. And that person will only just want the best of me. And there's numerous instances in there where you can say, well, so you're transacting loyalty. Like the relationship is based on the fact that you're both going to be there for each other. So there is a transaction. But just because that's part of the relationship doesn't mean that defines it. It's part of it. It doesn't define it. That's like saying, for example, like having sex in a relationship, right? Like, yeah, that's a part of it. In a lot of cases, probably even a big part. But does that mean that every romantic relationship is based on sex? Of course not. Of course not. Like, there's plenty of accounts of people no longer being able, to have sex, for example, and then still, sticking it out with each other. Because it's never that simple. It's not that one-dimensional. It's not that black and white. And if you were a little bit wiser, you would know.
Commercial vibe to it. But if we just think about it as from a behavior standpoint, you've got two things that can happen. A behavior is reinforced or it is punished. That's it. When you have exchanges, quite literally, with people, those exchanges are either reinforced or they're punished. Part of the strength of the relationship is how long you're willing to wait for the next time that relationship is reinforced. If you have a long history of positive experiences with a person, you're willing to wait a longer period of time if they're going through a breakup, or they're having a hard time, to keep the relationship going. But at some point, even if you've been friends with somebody for 10 years, if there's just not any positive reinforcement, at some point, you do cut it off. The people who we're surrounded with when we grow up.
I agree, fully agree, and I honestly don't even think there's anything wrong with that. If I'm all for giving people chances, both in a friendly context and in a romantic context. But at some point, if you're just constantly working on it and it doesn't get better, then it's okay to cut people off, obviously.
It's very unlikely, just from a population standpoint, that they're going to be great. Statistically, that they're going to be the top 1% or 0.1% is unlikely. So it would make sense that you change your friends over time. Why do people get so weird about keeping relationships that don't serve them? I think it's just because we have a societal story around it, that you're a bad friend. But I could also think of me being as a good friend to my next friend that I just made room for. There's gonna be a friend who's gonna move in to my spot on my buddy's calendar, who does wanna do fantasy football, who does wanna drink with him on Sundays, so it's not this like, all right, I'll go to the game with you, but I'm not drinking. Oh, dude, you're not gonna, come on, man. Because the other guy's like, yeah, shots all around, and they're gonna have a blast. They would better be served with people who want the same things as them. Just because I'm not seeing them anymore doesn't mean that I don't wish them well. But if someone only tells you the stories of when you got fucked.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with this. The only thing I would say is I'm not like, just because you're not going to get hammered together and watch the game with your friends, it doesn't mean that you can't do other things. That being said, I do understand what he's saying. And he's very smart talking to his audience, because he knows that's a very easy and a great example to get people to go like, oh yeah, that's totally me, that happens with me all the time.
And while you did that stupid thing, they're encouraging you and retelling you the story of who you used to be. And you want people around you who don't believe the lies you used to tell about yourself. The character trait shift is not a binary. It's how patient are you? How kind are you? How loyal are you? How honest are you? And so you want people who encourage you in the behaviors that you want to be like. And this is why like shedding identities is such a core part of entrepreneurship, is that you have to be willing to say, I am no longer this way. I will no longer behave in this way. And I don't accept that reality as truth. Many of the people I had around me, weren't willing to pay the price.
Yeah, don't disagree. I don't have anything to say about that. I hear what he's saying, and if you would just stick to that message, I would be more than fine with it.
That I was willing to pay for the things that I wanted, but also wanted me to give them more than I was willing to. And so I'll give you a story that will paint me in a bad light, and that's fine. There was a teacher that I grew up with in high school, and he's the one who stayed with me after school for a year and worked out with me. 2 hours a day, and he taught me how to work out. I got in shape, got more confidence, better at school. From there, that snowballed into me getting into fitness. Huge catalyst snowball. Somebody heard that story and then found the teacher, and they linked us. He was like, hey man, I'm not asking for a lot. I would love to just have like a 2-hour call with you every week. I was like, a 2-hour call every week? I was like, I don't even talk to my mother that much. I don't talk to anybody that much. I talk to my wife, that's it. The value of the relationship was in the past. You may be like, Alex, you're a horrible person, and that's possible. Maybe I am. I was not willing to give 2 hours a week, 100 hours a year for the rest of my life to pay a debt for somebody who worked out with me. Because we only have so much juju, we only have so much time, we only have so much focus, so much energy that we can pour into things.
I get what he's saying. I'm not going to knock him on that, but I just feel like, why, again, can there not be a middle ground? What about giving him 1 hour per month? You're not going to tell me you don't have 1 hour per month. If this guy truly did so much for you, as you're saying right here, like, I feel like it's quite black and white, but I don't fault him for not wanting to spend his precious time on someone that he really doesn't know anymore yet.
And if you're not putting all your energy in one direction, it's scattered and then you don't move as fast. My closest friend, I spend 1 hour a week with every week. My closest friend, like clockwork. It's my highest priority meeting. It is something that brings me joy. And we get lots of exchange with one another. He's the one who helps me write my books, Dr. Kashi.
Dr. Kashi here.
I get a lot from that. Now, if I didn't get anything from that, over time, slow down the communication between us. I would make it every other week, once a month. If you slow down your communication cadence with someone, how frequently you see them and when you accept invitations, it naturally fizzles. But if it gets to a point where if someone's like so close that it would be obvious and a conversation needs to be had, I encourage you to just have it. You want to be a kind person. And the way you are kind is that you tell the truth. And you just be honest. And the easiest way that I can tell you to be honest is, when you talk about somebody behind their back, just say it to them.
I agree. Nothing to add to that, honestly. I think that's a very sound piece of advice.
It's like, yeah, Sandra's been like all over the place lately. And she's like, I don't know, drinking a little bit too much. Sandra, you've been all over the place lately. You've been drinking a little bit too much. I'm just not sure if I want to associate with that right now. People just don't have the balls to do that. But if you do that, I promise you, you'll either have better relationships or you'll be done with this Mickey Mouse bullshit of not even being in a real relationship and not wanting to confront reality. Because you may have a shot at getting them to realize that they're not on the path that they wanted to be on. Because you were friends with them at some point. And so either your goals have changed or theirs have. If you listen to Kobe's interviews where he talks about his friends, he says very explicitly that he's willing to put everything on the altar for his dream. Now, some people make the argument that that's not, quote, healthy. The question that we're answering here is not, how do we do
Kobe is a really bad example, though, because he did not have any friends up until deep into his mid-20s. Like, this is very well documented in Phil Jackson's book, 11 Rings, amongst others. Kobe did not have any friends. He was the most antisocial dude on the team. So it's so easy to use Kobe because, like, he's, one of the greatest players of all time. So let me just throw Kobe in there because no one's going to dare to question anything that Kobe did. But actually, if you read Phil Jackson's book, he talks about at some point, Kobe had to learn how to trust his teammates. He had to learn how to be a social person, how to let people in order for them to really come together as a team, and in order for them to finally win 2 more championships after the initial three-peat where Shaquille O'Neal was the best player on the team. So, it just, I see what it's doing by using Kobe, but it's a very poor example. And if he would actually follow through in that lesson, he would also admit that Kobe learned that lesson later on in his career and became a lot more social. By all accounts, by all NBA players that used to know Kobe, they all said, like, he was a different person near the end of his career and even post-career. Like, he was so much nicer and fun to be around. He grew into his final form, like this wise basketball sensei, who is no longer antisocial and just shielded off from the outside world. Like, he became full circle. He learned that lesson. So you're completely misquoting and misusing Kobe here, in my opinion.
Healthy stuff. The question is, how do we become the greatest? People will judge you on how you spend time, and their judgments are simply expressions that they would not spend their time the same way you do.
The question is not how do we do healthy stuff. The question is how do we become the greatest? Is it really, Alex? Is it really? I mean, I know for you that's the case, but again, projecting your very one-dimensional idea of what life is all about onto the masses. It's just like, that's how it is. Like, take it from someone who's had cancer twice and who has spent more than a year in total in the hospital. just being an absolute mess. And I'm not trying to pull the cancer card here. I'm just saying, like, you probably should not speak on health if you've never struggled with health. And from the looks of it, I don't think you have. And let me do what you like to do. Let me be black and white. There's also two types of people, Alex. There's the type that really never struggled with their health, and there's the type that has. And the type that has values health more than anything in this world, because they have learned the lesson that if you do not have good health, everything else is just obsolete. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. All the money in your bank account can't save you if you're rotting away in a bed, unable to speak, eat, clean yourself. Ask Steve Jobs where all the money and all his accomplishments got him when he was dying a slow and painful death. So, you don't know what you're talking about, and you're coming across very immature, very inexperienced and childlike as it pertains to real life problems, which is not being poor only.
Hey, you work a lot. And I could say, hey, you don't. To the same degree, it's like, you spend so much time with your kids, right? If I say it like that, people are like, wait, no, I'm supposed to. It's only the supposed to that's the thing that gives all the emotional charge to these conversations. Otherwise, it's just observing reality. You can't expect to do the same thing everyone else is doing and then somehow achieve a different outcome. Once you have the vacuum of friends, because you'll probably have weeded people out, then the best thing to do is join communities. And then you'll make friends with people in those communities who have the same goals as you. And then if you crush it, because you understand that volume is the answer and time is the ingredient, you're going to rise in that community. And
AKA join an echo chamber, and no one is ever going to call you out on your bullshit, because all the people in that echo chamber are going to agree with you because they're on the same path, thus no longer furthering your advancement. What I actually recommend people to do is to try and exercise empathy to other people with different viewing points. That is how you grow. That is how you learn to compromise. That is how you learn to meet in the middle, and how you obtain new perspectives by hanging around people that are just constantly going to tell you that you're right and they're doing the same. All you're going to do is reinforce the beliefs that you already have.
Gain more status, and you'll start hanging out with the people who are at the top of that community, and then you can leapfrog into other communities. It's just lunch tables on steroids. I've wanted to live a rare life, and so I will have to be surrounded by rare people, and rare people are by definition rare. They're not common. My hope is that the people that I meet now are trying to go all the way with me. I want to do epic shit. If I die and don't do epic shit, I will be bummed. How much am I willing to endure or sacrifice in order to maintain that relationship that I have with my dream? If I have many, many friends over different seasons, I'm totally cool with that. Thank you for that season. It was awesome. I don't believe things need to be forever to be good. And it's only the romantic story that we were told of friends for life, etc. If you die with one good friend or two good friends, like, you've had a really good life.
Well, that last part, I feel like he ended it on a high note, but I just want to say one more thing before I wrap up this reaction video. So, why do you think Alex is making these videos? What is his end goal here? He's already told you over and over and over again that he doesn't give a damn basically about anyone but himself and probably his wife. And then maybe that one real friend he has that he talks to for 1 hour a week. So do you really think he's making these videos because he cares about you, the audience? Do you think he's sitting there thinking about people he don't even know exist, while not even caring about his immediate environment, his family, his childhood friends? My point is, you guys should really try to question and try to make up for yourself, like, what is the motive behind this? And I just can't help but feel like his whole message is always about how busy he is and how precious his time is and how he's busy making money. But then why are you constantly, like, he's already a millionaire, like he stated that many times over, but then why are you still putting out all this content? What, is he trying to help you with this content? Is he trying to have you have a better life? Or is he trying to make more money? I mean, the answer is clearly he's just trying to make more money. So if he's already that rich, and if he's already, building these brands and taking over these companies and acquisition.com, if it was really going as great as he says it is, then why is he still chasing that YouTube bag? Why, undoubtedly there has to be more money, right, in just business and taking over companies and selling companies. Why is he still chasing your view? Has it ever crossed your mind that he's probably telling you what you want to hear and that he's very good at marketing his content so that people will keep watching, keep clicking, and keep hitting the thumbs up? Just keep that in mind. Like, he doesn't even give a damn about his closest friends and family, so he's damn sure not going to care about you, the person who's consuming the content. Something to consider, guys. All right, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Comment below what do you think. Am I being too harsh? Am I wrong? Am I right? Let me know. Hope you enjoyed it. That's it for today, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.